What's up, everybody? Sea Panther here. I want to talk to you about a pretty old Tyranitar set. You might have heard of it before. It's called Boatar. What Boatar um, is this right here. What it is Focus Punch and Substitute. And the reason why it runs these two moves is primarily for Blissey, because it has 100 base HP, which lets it have subs that take Blissey Seismic. And because of that, it can smack it with Focus Punch. Often Boatar is, uh, I guess you could consider it like a mixed tar, because it primarily runs a mixture of moves. It has more options than just the ones I'm showing here, but these are probably the ones I've seen the most. But you could also do stuff like Ice Beam and whatnot. But often, and the most famous set is Sub, Punch, Crunch, and Thunder. So obviously, Substitute is for Blissey. It also prevents status, I suppose, from Blissey. You just gotta be careful when you switch in. Focus Punch for that hit on Blissey, but also does pretty decent damage to Tyranitar's other switch-ins. Crunch, because it's stab and good all-around neutral damage. And then Thunder is that move to hit Skarmory and stuff like Melodic or Suicune if you need to in a pinch, stuff like that. It also hits the flyers a little bit harder, and has the para chance, which is pretty big on some of them. But that, we will look at some of these sets here. So the first one that I'm going to show you is the OG. That is Sub, Punch, Crunch, Thunder. And of course you have the 252 HP so that you can have 101 HP subs. I don't invest in any attack. I'm sure you could if you wanted to, but I like hitting this benchmark. 68 speed EVs, you outspeed anything creeping in that range. Since you are quiet nature, you're minus speed. That includes stuff like Monopert, Blissey with speed creep, Focus Punch Swampert, that's a quiet nature as well, stuff like that. You could even take it a little bit further and go after like BKC Tar speed, or like, I don't know, minus speed Metagross, but it's really not worthwhile since you're not really going to be staying in on those mons in the first place. Another common thing I've run this a lot, and I've seen others do as well, is just Fire Blast instead of Thunder. It's not going to be as good versus, you know, other things like Salamence, right? With Thunder you have that neutral hit, and you have the para chance, and Crunch is still good there, but Thunder is a little bit nice if you can fish for it. But it does have the benefit of being a lot more accurate. And here's something like Suicune 2 is just going to be able to set up all over you. Although you really shouldn't be trying to stay in on Suicune that often. It's really only in a pinch with the Thunder set. But what you can also do, and I've seen people do before, is actually run Fire Grass coverage here. So you drop Stab, but you still function like a Boatar. But here I actually like to run a bit more speed. So this set, of course, is blinked by stuff like Salamence. Obviously, something like Zapdos is going to be really good into this as well. But you are a Tyranitar, so you're probably scared away initially. But here I like to run a little bit of speed. This is faster than like standard off-pert, faster than most Skarms, so you can actually sub on Toxic. And it gets the jump on quite a lot of Metagrosses as well. And the reason I feel like it's alright to drop the special attack here is because on these sets you have Crunch. And Crunch is only an 80 base power move, so it isn't the strongest. It is very spammable because it has that Spadef drop chance, but a tar like this one is really targeting specific things. So often Swampert will still be able to come in on the crunch sets. And crunch is honestly, I would say, your best move into it. It does comparable damage to Focus Punch. I think a little bit less, but it does have that SPDF drop chance. So I typically go by crunch when Swampert's in. Now if it's Metagross, I like to just punch it because you can't even lower SPDF. But do the calcs. I mean, crunch might actually be more versus Metagross. It depends on the side, I suppose. But with a set like this, you're going after those two mons in particular. You're trying to almost break them. You're going after the Skarm Bliss Pert core. That's really common in ADV. So I think a set like this is really good. Of course, you got to pair it with support that's going to be able to handle stuff like Salamence and Zapdos pretty well. But yeah. So last, I just want to show you guys a replay that replay of mine that happened last Mushi season. This is versus Mave. This is when I first started kind of dipping my toes in the water with Boatar. I had heard about it in like PKC videos and like people talking about old sets, but I had never actually tried it myself. But I decided I wanted to build something with it this week, so this was my first foray into using it. So they actually lead Blissey, and the reason why I wanted to bring Boatar is because they had extremely high Blissey usage, so I was like, why not? And here you see what makes Slender so useful, being able to chip Skarm. Because when you do sub, often Skarm feels obligated to stay in. And then here I have it paired with Mixed Ments, so Skarm's not even gonna be able to spike here. And my opponent in the chat said, whoa, what did Tar click? I'm not sure anyone knows the origin of the Boatar meme, but my guess is that it was just misspelled in the chat, someone saying whoa when they saw Thunder come out. But who really knows? I guess maybe if the person who created the set ever shows or sees this video, they'll answer that question for us. But here, another big thing about Crunch is you're able to hit Doll really hard. So Boatar already putting in a lot of work here. Already off to a huge head start because of it in particular. Just being able to sub on that Blissey and scare it out, and then hitting the Skarm and the Doll really hard. And yeah, that's just sort of what Boatar's shtick is. We can throw this in fast mode so that we can just kind of get through this a little bit. But as you can see, like how impactful it can be versus, I mean, very common defensive cores. I mean, Skarm, Bliss, and Doll are really like common together. So it's something that can really do damage. And then say you get a sub up, you're hitting these things really hard. There are some Claydol that run minus speed, so you could keep that in mind for if you wanted to speed creep that with the Crunch version, especially on builds with Milotic. So you can already have a sub up when Milo comes in and maybe hit that with a pretty hard Thunder. Who knows, maybe you get a Para on it. It has a 30% chance. So Boatar's really good into structures like these. Of course here I got the Raise of Metagross, so I'm just kind of spamming attacks into Milo. Probably should have kept mashing. Yeah, there we go for another mash. No second attack raise here, but I guess I'm just gonna keep spamming EQ. And I actually killed the Milo. So we were probably speed tying there. Mave didn't have speed investment on their Milo, looks like. And they actually stay in with Doug here. Not a terrible play, because they do end up switching out. And then here I'm going to be able to keep my spikes up. This Celebi does have quite a bit of a special attack for Doug, actually. And I'm thinking maybe that's like an absolute high roll, or maybe this was Adamant Duck, because usually Celebi lives those from that high. I do have quite a lot of HP investment. But yeah, at this point, I just got off to such an early lead because of Tar that it's pretty much over at this point. I can kind of just sit here with Skarm. Blissey's, T-Bolt, and Drashi, I believe, revealed Thunder already. Yeah, so not the best. And then that crit there is pretty huge. Had I not critted, I would have been able to get a sub, and Tar would have put in a lot more work. And then this Doug has nothing to hit Skarm here, so Skarm is going to get all 3 layers. And yeah, this game is just wraps. So you can really see the value that Boatar gets into these like slower paced fat teams where it can just kind of sub on the things that it wants to sub in on, like Blissey. The faster version can sub on Tar. Yeah, I do personally recommend that you pair it with Spin. I haven't yet experimented with it on Spikeless, but I'm sure it could be run on Spikeless. I don't see why not. It is a mixed breaker set, so like definitely feasibly could fit on mix off. But I just haven't tried it myself. But I do recommend Spin. In this case, I had Claydol. You could probably run it with Deathme. I don't see why you couldn't. But yeah, guys, that is pretty much all for this video. I hope you like it. If you like it, leave a like, leave a comment, and give me your favorite Boatar set. Whether I've seen people run Ice Beam on it before. I'm sure there's a lot of crazy combinations you can actually make with this, depending on your team. So with that, I will catch you guys later.